my name's Hazel Clark. I'm the owner and lead therapist at Mountain Massage Company in Bowness in the Lake District in the UK. I'm also an APPI Matwork Pilates instructor. This morning's class is a short class that's going to give you a few variations of each exercise. So I will be working through some basic moves and then showing you some progressions so you can modify this depending on where you're at with your Pilates practice. You will need somewhere to work out. You will need something to use as a thin head pad for under your head. And then optional, if you know that you want to work through some slightly more advanced moves, you might want to add in some very small hand weights or a couple of tins of beans or something out of the kitchen cupboard. That is optional. As always, please go at your own pace. Work with the moves that are suitable for you. Remember, Pilates is about being able to control and stabilise the lower back and the pelvis whilst we do other movements. So there's no point pushing onto a more advanced exercise if it means we lose and we become unstable in the lower back and the pelvis. We need to work on the control of the smaller movements. So work within your own level, work within what your body is allowing you to do today. We're going to do a bit of work in standing. So when you're ready, come and have a little stand. Let's bring the feet together and let's work, turn the toes out, turn the feet out so we're in our parallel. Let's just run through a little bit of setup stuff. So connect the big toe, the little toe and the heel. Let's be active through the arches of our feet. That gently lifts the arches of our feet, lifts the knees and switches on our gluteal muscles, the bottom muscles at the back here. Imagine there's a small blueberry nestled underneath the arches of your feet and you don't want to crush that by allowing the arches to drop. Slight active sensation through there. We're going to bring our awareness up to our knees, have a slight soft bend in the knees so we're not too rigid and stiff, and then bring your awareness up to your centre, your pelvis and your lower back. We want that connection into our lower abdominals. So if you are needing that tactile feedback, you can bring your hands to the pointy, sticky outer bits of your hips here, the front of the pelvis. You can bring your fingertips in an inch and down an inch. We're thinking of the area where the top of a pair of Speedos or bikini line might be. Some people, to activate these muscles, some people like to imagine their hip bones, their pelvic bones drawing together like magnets. Some people like to imagine zipping up a tight pair of trousers from pubic bone up to belly button. Some people like to imagine a low slung belt, like a cowboy belt, John Wayne film, being drawn in tightly, being done up tightly. Whatever analogy works for you, you should feel a very slight firming sensation. These muscles, when they activate, they draw in and back, so away from your fingertips. Then we want to connect pelvic floors, the muscles that sling underneath the pelvis, that support everything that sits on top. So for women, if you think about tightening the muscles around the back passage as if you need to stop yourself from passing gas. Guys, if you think about sort of stopping yourself midstream of going to the toilet, that works well for men. Okay, so those things together, drawing in the lower abdominals, pulling in the pelvic floor, those things together are to do with setting our centre. So when I ask you to set your centre before we move into each exercise, those are the little bits of engagement we need to do. We then need to work out where our pelvic neutral is. So in standing, a good analogy is to imagine that pelvis like a bowl of water, and we can tip a little bit of water at the front of the bowl, and we can tip a little bit of water at the back of the bowl, and then halfway between those 2 points is your pelvic neutral. That will be different for everybody. Okay, let's bring our awareness up to our mid-body. So you can bring your hands to the bottom ribs. As you breathe in, I want you to get a sense of those ribs going out to the side of the room, and as you breathe out, those ribs flatten in. Breathe in, take the ribs out to the sides of the room, breathe out, the ribs sink in. It's called lateral breathing, and we want to be able to move that diaphragm. That makes the top part of our cylinder, our core, our strength in our torso here. Shoulders want to be nice and easy, sliding those shoulder blades back and down the back of the rib cage. Collarbones want to be nice and wide and smiley and open. Head wants to be tall, neck wants to be long, chin is slightly tucked. Imagine you've got a ripe peach nestled under your chin. You don't want to drop that peach by allowing the chin to poke out. You don't want to crush that peach by being too stiff in the jaw. And there we go with our setup. We'll keep coming back to these points during each exercise. Let's move into our warm-up. So we're going to start with a little bit of dumb weighting. You can add small hand weights here if you wish, or a stretchy TheraBand to make it harder. As we breathe out, we're going to take the hands out. We're going to serve the hands out to the side. And as we breathe in, we're going to come back to centre. So elbows are lightly tucked into the side, shoulder blades back and down away from the rib cage. And we're going to serve the hands out to the side on an out breath. And breathing in as you come back in. Okay, so you can add those little hand weights to make it harder, or we can start with just the weight of our forearms for that more basic move. To make this harder still, to challenge the balance, let's add in a little heel raise. So as we take the hands out, let's raise up onto the balls of the feet, and as we breathe in, we return the heels. We're looking for nice stable ankles here. So imagine you are nestling a football between your ankles and you want to press into that football. You can add a little cushion there if you want, and gently squeeze that cushion in between your ankles to stop the ankles from rolling out to the side. Okay. Let's take this move, whatever level you're at, whether you've added the hand weights, whether you've added the heel raise, it's up to you. We're going to keep the shoulders down as we move into our Cleopatra. So we turn the arms out, then we turn the palms face down and we reach those fingertips away. And then we come back up. So breathing out and breathing in. We're warming up the shoulders here, breathing out and breathing in. Okay, you're going to have to grip those little hand weights if you've picked a couple of little weights up. We're looking at half a kilo, 1 kilo maximum, but a couple of tins of soup out the kitchen cupboard works really well. Very light weights. Otherwise, we switch on the bigger muscles, and we're working the small ones at the moment. So we're thinking long and strong. Imagine you're gently moving through treacle and you want some resistance there. Try and touch the sides of the wall. You can add back in that heel raise here. Let's keep the legs nice and warm. It's up to you. You can move just the arms. You can add in the legs. You can add in the weights or a stretchy band to make these exercises harder. Lovely stuff, guys. Let's do a couple more here. Breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, and breathing in. Lovely. Shake the legs out if you need to. We are going to move down into a roll up, and we're going to end up down on the mat. So grab any cushion that you need to. Change the screen if you need to in order to be able to see when you're down on the floor. With our roll down, we're going to start by growing tall. So grow tall first of all. And then we're going to gently tuck that chin, take the eye gaze down. Allow the shoulders to gently roll forward. We want that soft bend in the knees, centre is switched on. We're going to articulate, so bone by bone, joint by joint in the spine. We're going to come back down. We're going to soften the knees at the bottom. Doesn't matter if you come all the way or just halfway to begin with. And then we're going to roll back up. So initiate that move by drawing the sitting bones together, tightening around the back passage. We're going to tip the tailbone down towards the floor. We're going to restack that pelvic bowl, restack the spine bone by bone. Imagine like a bead by bead of an imaginary string of beads being stacked back up in your spine to grow tall to finish. Let's go again. So grow tall to start with, and then tuck the chin, take the eye gaze down, allow the shoulders to roll forward. Rib by rib, bone by bone of the spine. Imagine link by link of an imaginary bicycle chain, just folding down. And then tighten around those bottom muscles, draw the sitting bones together, take the tailbone down towards the floor. We're going to roll back up, restack that pelvic bowl, and stack the spine back up. Now we're going to take our last roll down and we're going to end up down on the mat this time. So let's grow nice and tall. Let's gently nod the chin. Take the eye gaze down, allow the shoulders to just about roll forward. Soften the knees. We're going to go all the way down to the mat this time, so soften the knees right down. And we're going to come down onto hands and knees for a little bit of cat stretch. So, you can pop your weights down if you were still holding those. And we're going to move into a little bit of cat stretch. So, with our cat, we want to breathe out as we tip the tail. So imagine you're tucking an imaginary tail between your legs. Push the ground away with your arms, separate the shoulder blades and take the eye gaze down towards the knees. And then let's breathe in as we proudly stick that tail up in the air. We allow the chest to dip down slightly towards the floor and we take our eye gaze forward, maybe towards the skirting board. And then we flow between those two movements. So this is a lovely exercise to articulate the spine, to flex and extend our spine. Most people are quite stiff in their mid-back, our thoracic part of our spine. That's where our ribs attach. So I want you to think more about trying to separate the shoulder blades as you arch up, and then allowing the chest to dip down as you arch back. Okay. That will take the movement out of the lower back and put it more into that mid-back, that thoracic part of the spine. Let's just take one more each side. Good, lovely stuff. Okay. If you need to at this point, you can sit up and you can roll the wrists. You can have a little wrist stretch. It's really good to do a little bit of weight bearing on the wrists. A lot of people sort of get worried about doing movements that involve the wrists and the hands because it can sort of feel a bit uncomfortable sometimes. It's really good to do a little bit of weight bearing on the wrists, but sometimes you just need to stretch off that a little bit more frequently. So stop and stretch if you need to during this class. We're going to move into our first exercise, which is our swimming and kneeling. So, our level one, we're just going to go with our legs. I want you to imagine your back is like a tabletop. We're going to stay nice and long and flat through our back. You could rest a tray of drinks on it as we transfer the weight onto one knee, and we're going to gently stretch one leg out behind us. So level one, let's just glide the leg across the floor to begin with. Slide the shoulder blades back and down, long and strong through the neck. Imagine just tucking your chin just slightly to lengthen the neck. If you know you can progress in this movement, you can reach the leg away and float the leg off the floor. Okay, so we can move just one leg. We can stay on one leg for a few reps and then swap to the other side. We can alternate side to side on each rep and keep the back nice and stable if you know you've got that control. The alternative is that we move on and then just move one arm at a time. Again, you can just keep the fingertips connected for a lower level of the exercise to make you a bit more stable. Stay on one side for a few reps and then transfer over. You can move one arm and float the arm off the ground and reach forward. If you know you can progress in this exercise, we can move one arm and one leg at the same time. You can keep that connection for a lower level of the exercise, or we can reach long and float the arm and the opposite leg off, and we can alternate from side to side. So pick a level that's appropriate for you. But what I'm looking for is for you to be able to stabilise that pelvis, keep that centre switched on, lower abdominals, pelvic floor, as we grow long and float off. You can add in small weight here. So we could add in that small weight as we reach forward, keep the neck nice and long, and we can alternate from side to side. Okay, let's breathe out. And breathe in. Let's breathe out. And breathe in. Think long and float rather than trying to lift the limbs really, really high. Let's keep that lower tummy tucked in. Keep your centre switched on. Lovely. Good. Let's Do a couple more to each side. Work with the level that's appropriate for you, that you can control. Last one to each side. And then we can sit back into that child's pose, that shell pose if we need it. If you've got your small weights, you can keep your hands on the weights and you can reach those hands forward to get more of a stretch into the lats, into the side of the body here, by having them slightly raised up on those tins of beans or those small hand weights. Stretch the wrists off if you need to. We've got one more exercise in this position before we move on. We're going to come into our leg pull in prone series. So I'm going to demo a few different levels of this exercise. From our cat position, we're going to walk the hands forward, just forward of our shoulders for our level 1. My hips stay above my knees. My toes now tuck underneath us. My neck is long, eye gaze is down towards the floor, centre switched on, pelvic floor switched on. Level 1, we need to deepen that lower abdominal connection. And on an out breath, I'm going to float the knees an inch off the floor. I can breathe in to hold. I can breathe out to lower back down. You can push back into child's pose in between each rep if you need to and roll the wrists. Okay. It's a hard exercise, it's a full body exercise, but we're going to try this a few times. So this is our preparation exercise level 1. Slide the shoulder blades down and away. Engage through the centre, deepen that connection, tuck the toes. We breathe out as we float the knees. If you can, breathe in to hold. And breathe out as we lower back down. You can progress through and you can go on the breath. So you can breathe out. You could breathe in. You could breathe out. You could breathe in. Remember, you can take a rest in between each rep if you need to. Reset yourself and move through. For those that want to progress, I'm going to show you the next level of this exercise. You need to walk your hands forward, another sort of hand span forward, but the hips stay back over the knees. Shoulder blades are back and down. Carry on working through that lower level if that's where you need to be. For those that want to move on, we're going to breathe in to prepare, we're going to breathe out to float the knees, and we push forward into a plank. Take an in-breath to hold here, and as we breathe out, we're going to bring the hips all the way back, trust the arms, and then we float the knees down and take that rest. So breathe in to prepare, long and strong through the neck, shoulder blades back and down, centre engaged. We're going to breathe out, breathe in to hold, and then breathe out all the way back and lower the knees. So whether you are here at level 1, hovering the knees, and then taking a rest in between to just ease the wrists off. Whether you are here able to go through that level 1 preparation exercise on each breath, or whether you are here moving on into that preparation exercise level 2, I just want you to work through another couple of reps. Take rest when you need to. We're going to make this next one our last one. Shoulder blades back and down, long and strong. And then push back into that child's pose. Take the knees wide to ease the lower back. Roll the wrists a few times. And then come up into kneeling. Okay. We're going to work through a couple of exercises in our crook sitting position. So I want you to come and have a little sit onto your mat. So safely come and have a little sit onto your mat. Now, in this position, depending on your spine and depending on your pelvis and your hips, some people instantly don't find this a comfortable position. I want you to be able to get your pelvis into neutral. So if we're sort of here stuck in this kind of C shape, unable to sit upright, I would like you to grab ideally like a block or maybe a book or something, or you could use a cushion. So I'm going to use this cushion. Ideally you want something firmish, maybe like a yoga brick or something, although it might be a bit small. And you can pop that under your sitting bones, okay? So just pop it under your sitting bones. So that's allowed my spine to come up a little bit straighter, and I can now find my pelvic neutral again, okay? So let's find a comfortable sitting position for you. Knees are bent, the feet are flat on the floor. We're going to come into our roll up. So arms are out straight in front, shoulders are back and down. We're going to gently tip a little bit of water out the back of that bowl and then straighten back up. So let's just tip a little bit of water out the back of that bowl for the first little step of this exercise and then straighten back up. So if that's where you need to be today, then that's where we're going to stay for a few rounds. If you need to take a break out of this exercise at any point, you can straighten the legs out, give them a little shake, and then come back into it. Centre is switched on, pelvic floor is engaged. Or we can come back down and go a little further. So we tip water out the back of the bowl, and then we hollow. Imagine someone's poking you in the sternum, in the breastbone, and we hollow through that back into that C shape. Arms stay out in front. We take that C shape forward for our pelvis to come back into neutral, and then we restack the spine on top. So for the full move, we're going to roll the pelvis back. We're going to roll the spine back. Shoulders stay down away from the ears. We're going to take that C shape forward. Let's restack the pelvis and then restack the spine. Deepen that abdominal connection. Think about drawing the hip bones together, engaging through that pelvic floor. You can breathe out on the way back and in to stack back up. Take rest when you need to. Let's do 2 more. Deepen that connection through the lower back, through the lower abdominals. And then ease those thighs off. So with this exercise, if you instantly sort of feel it in the top of the thighs and the top of the hip flexors, or if you find it very achy in the lower back, I would say stack yourself up a little bit higher. So find a little block to sit on, or a couple of big sort of hardback books, or a couple of firm cushions. Bring yourself higher and it will change the exercise for you. Okay, and it should feel less achy. If you're feeling it a lot in the thighs, it usually means the thighs are gripping and the lower abdominals aren't switched on fully enough. So the hip flexors are working a bit too hard. So just think about deepening the connection and taking a little break in between. Okay. We're going to come into a little exercise called leg pull in supine. So this is quite a hard exercise, so I'm going to give you a variation that's nice to do if we aren't able to do the full exercise, so it works the back of the body still, okay? So leg pull in supine is one of the more advanced exercises, but it's nice to give you a variation that you can do if you're not quite there at the advanced stage. So we're going to basically start with a little tricep dip. Now, in this position, you can stay in this crook sitting position here. You can flatten the legs out if you want to for the tricep dip, and then I'll show you the full exercise leg pull in supine. So have the hands wherever is comfortable. So ideally, they probably want to face forward, okay? But if they're more comfortable facing out to the side, if that's just the way your shoulders are, that's absolutely fine. We want to think about switching on through our centre and then becoming kind of proud in the chest. Okay, our gaze is forward as if we're looking forward towards the horizon, neck is long. I want you to think about sending the elbows back behind you and squeezing them together as we then straighten them to come back up to our proud position. So proud chest to start with, shoulders back and down. We're going to allow the elbows to bend, but keep thinking about squeezing them together to come into our tricep dip, and then we're going to sit proud. Okay, centre is switched on, and we're going to sit proud. So this should instantly make the back of your arms work a little bit. Remember, your hand positions can be wherever's comfortable. Facing forward is probably better. Shoulder blades are back and down. We put a little bit of weight here, and we push back up. Okay, legs can be bent if you prefer, or legs can be out straight. For our leg pull in supine, on level 1, again, shoulder blades are back and down. You can carry on, take a rest when you need it with that first little sort of interim level. For our full exercise, we stay proud, our shoulders back and down, eye gaze on the horizon, centre switched on, and on and out breath, we're going to push up into our reverse bridge and lower back down. So, we can breathe out, we can breathe in to hold, we can breathe out to lower. So, you've got your little tricep dip, or we've got leg pull in supine at level 1. Let's do a couple more reps here. I will get you to stretch your arms off in just a moment. And lower back down. Good, do another couple of reps for me in whichever exercise that we are in, whichever level of this one that we're in. And then we can have a little tricep stretch. So I'm just going to show you from a couple of angles. You can bring one arm up, place the hand down the back. You can use a little bit of overpressure to gently encourage that elbow to come over and feel that lovely stretch in the triceps. Swap over to the other side. Good. And come back down. Lovely. Okay. We're going to come and have a lay on our backs now for a little bit of work in bridge. So this is a condensed class this morning, just working through a few moves, and you can absolutely move on to the more advanced levels if you know that you can do that. So with the bridge, we're just going to start with a couple of level 1 bridge. You can pop something between the knees just to help engage and facilitate some movement through the muscles on the inside of the thigh. Bring your heels towards your bottom an inch or so. Have your arms down by your side, neck is long. We don't need anything under the head during this exercise. We're going to roll up, curl up the spine. So I want you to think about gently rolling the tailbone up, first of all, engaging through the bottom muscles as we articulate up, kind of like our roll down when we were standing. And we come up into our bridge position, neck is nice and relaxed. And then we roll back down, we peel the spine bone by bone back down. Okay. So this is our level 1 bridge. It's a double leg bridge, it's an articulating bridge. If you know that you've got any osteoperosis or anything like that, if you know that curling the spine isn't good for you, you can straight bridge up. So without the curl, we can squeeze the bottom muscles together and we can just lift the hips straight up and come straight back down. So there's a little alternative for you. You might want to try a couple of both because it does activate the muscles in slightly different ways. You might find one is better than the other. Okay guys, so if you've not progressed on to the higher levels and you know that you're strong enough to do so, we can transfer the weight over and we can straighten a leg out and come back. You can stay high in that bridge to transfer the weight onto the other side and come back. Okay, so there's our next level of this bridge. To make it harder, you could add more reps. You can stay high in the bridge. To make it slightly easier, you can roll back down in between each one and roll back up and then go and roll back down in between. Okay. To make it slightly harder again, you can have the arms up in the air. We take that stable base away. To make it harder again, you can have the weights. So we could roll up with the weights in. Lovely stuff, guys. And roll back down. Nicely done. So I'm just taking you through a few little levels of this bridge today. You can get rid of the pillow to make it a little bit harder again. So again, it takes some of that stability away. I want you to imagine there's a spirit level across your pelvis, and you don't want that little bubble in the spirit level to move. Or imagine you're resting a tray of drinks across that pelvis as you roll up and down. When you are done, your next couple of reps, I want you to hug the knees in towards the chest. Join me in a little bit of rock and roll from side to side. Gently squeezing those knees in towards the chest and enjoying that little stretch. Nicely done, guys. We have a little bit of work for the upper abdominals now. So you can pop a little cushion under the back of the head. I still want the neck nice and long, little gap under the neck. We want that pelvis in neutral, so halfway point between an imprinted spine and a sort of a curved spine. So halfway there is your neutral. We're going to come into our little abdo prep, so that's our abdominal preparation exercise. Okay, you can have your hands to the back of your head, light touch on the back of the head, elbows just in peripheral vision, so not too closed in. We're going to think long through the back, shoulders back and down, and on an out breath, we're going to keep the neck nice and relaxed as we peel the back of the shoulders, peel the spine off of the floor, and then roll back down. So I want you to imagine there are little springs attached from your rib bones to your pelvic bones. So from your ribs to your pelvis here, I want you to think about those springs shortening as you come up and lengthening as you come back down. So you can breathe out to curl up. You could add in an in-breath to hold here. And you can breathe out to come back down. Okay, you can move with the breath. Whatever feels good for you. So neck wants to be nice and long and neck wants to be as relaxed as possible. To make it harder, you can take the arms away from the head and you can gently reach the fingertips down towards the feet. Engage through the lats down here. So think about really drawing the shoulder blades down towards your feet as you curl up. Okay, neck wants to be nice and relaxed. The work needs to come from the abdominals. Let's do, if you need to rest, rest when you need to. We're going to do another 6 reps, so let's do 6. Let's do 5. Let's do 4. Bring your hands to the back of the head if you need to, just not strain through the neck. Let's do 3. A light touch on the back of the head, sometimes it's all that's needed. Let's do 2. And last one. Nice, guys. Have a little relax there. So, you can hug the knees in towards your chest. And we are going to curl over onto our side for a little bit of sideline. We're going to come into our clam variations. So with our sideline series, you can either have a small pillow under your, between your shoulder and your ear here. If there are any shoulder issues, you could use a thicker pillow to have the head resting and have the arm out in front, whatever feels more comfortable for you, okay, whatever the shoulder allows. So our clam level 1, I want you to think about ever so slightly rotating the pelvis down and forward, just ever so slightly. Our knees are out in front and our ankles and our hips and our shoulders should be kind of in line, so you can use the edge of your mat to align yourself. Good. We're sending the top hip sort of down and away towards the feet. We want a little tiny gap under your waist, so nice and long through the spine. Our level 1, we keep the ankles together as we gently float the knee up, nothing else moves. It's the muscle at the back of the bottom here that we want to be working, so you can bring your hand here or you can have a light touch in front for our clam level 1. Our clam level 2, we can raise both ankles onto an imaginary footstool behind us and we can carry on here. we can do a little bit of an in-betweener move. So if this isn't enough, we could open the knees, we could straighten the leg, we could meet the feet, we could meet the knees. So you can open the knees, you can open the ankles, you can meet the feet, you can meet the knees. So let's pick whatever's good for you. We're going to do another few reps here. Remember, this is just a small little bite-sized class. We're going to do the same on the other side. And then we're going to think about doing a little cool down. A few little movements to mobilise the spine. Let's do another couple here. Lovely. Okay, we're going to do all of that on the other side. So let's safely bring you up. Bring your cushions or turn yourself over if you don't need to see the screen. And we're going to come down into our side lines. So let's go straight into whatever level works for you. Okay, knees are out in front, ankles, hips and shoulders are in line. Small gap under the waist, centre engaged. Level 1, we keep the ankles on the floor but together. Level 2, we raise those ankles up onto an imaginary footstool behind us. For an in-between level, we're going to open the knees, we're going to reach the leg, we're going to meet the feet, we're going to meet the knees. So go straight into the level that is appropriate for you. We're looking for a nice, long and strong body where nothing else moves. You could rest a glass of drink on your hip and it wouldn't spill. The only muscle that needs to be working in the pelvis are the ones at the back of the bottom here. Let's do another few reps, guys. So let's do another 6, another 5, another 4, another 3, let's do 2. Stay with me for the last one. Lovely. Okay, give that bottom a little pat. Sorry, I should have let you do that on the other side. Okay. We're going to come up into standing now. So, I want you to gently get yourselves up. If you want to, you can take a little roll up. So you could tuck the toes underneath you. You could roll back onto the backs of the feet. You can gently engage through the bottom muscles, drawing the sitting bones together. You can start to tip that tail down towards the floor and restack the spine into standing. We're going to take a couple of little exercises in standing, just to test our balance just slightly. We're going to come into our skater. So, we can start in a parallel. I'm going to show you from the side. Okay. We take a small squat down, so as if we're on skis maybe. Small squat down, yeah? You can take the body weight forward just slightly, transfer the weight over onto one side, and you can keep the toe connected to skate that opposite leg back and forward. Let's stay on the same leg. If you know your balance is okay, you could hover the leg and take it backwards and forwards. You don't have to touch down. What I'm looking for is for the upper body to not rock and roll. We want to move from the hip, keep that standing leg nice and stable. I'll show you from the front here. So you can either graze the foot along the floor for balance, or you can keep that foot hovered. I've not quite got enough room behind me here. I'm hitting the wall behind me. But we want to think long and strong through here. Okay. You could add in an arm movement to test your balance a bit more. So, let's do another couple of reps. Stand up and give the leg a little shake if you need to, and come back in for a couple more reps. Lovely. And then stand up straight, give the legs a little shake if you need to, give the hip a little pat if you need to. Let's move on to the other side. So let's go straight into the level that's appropriate for you. Soft bend in the knee, bring the weight forward, centre is engaged. You can graze the foot along the floor. You can do that with the arms. Back stays nice and straight. Or we can hover the leg. We don't have to touch down in between. You can breathe out as you take everything away. You can breathe in as you come back. Let's do another few reps. Stand up, give the hips a little wiggle if you need to, and then come back in for a few more reps. You don't have to stay down in the position. You could do 2 or 3 or 4, have a little wiggle, and then do another 2 or 3 or 4. It's up to you. There's always options. It's your body, it's your practice. Keep that centre switched on. Keep that pelvis and that lower back nice and stable. Let's do another 4. Let's do another 3. Let's do your last 2. And let's do our last one. Lovely, good, nicely done, guys. We're just gonna have a little mermaid stretching standing, and that will be our final move for today. So with our mermaid, we can start in our parallel. I want you to just soft bend in the knee. We're gonna slide one hand down our thigh. The other hand can reach up towards the ceiling. If your neck allows, you can look up towards that top hand. I want you to think stretching both fingertips away from each other with that soft bend in the knee. And then you can stand back up straight in between. So, soft bend in the knee, slide the opposite hand down the thigh, side bend. And we're going to reach the other hand up. If the neck allows, we can look up. And then think taking the fingertips away from each other. Imagine your arms are the rope in a tug of war. And then stand up straight in between. So we bend and reach, lengthen away, stand up straight in between. We can breathe out. We can breathe in. We can breathe out. We can breathe in. We can breathe out. Last 3. We can breathe in. We can breathe out. Last 2. We can breathe in. We can breathe out. We can breathe in. So that is our little bite-sized class today. So hopefully there's been a few progressions that you could work out that has challenged you, that's been appropriate for you. You can add in small weights to a lot of these moves. You can add in more repetitions. You can challenge your balance by taking out some of the stability. You can join us via our website. There are online classes, there are in-person classes. And I hope you've enjoyed your Pilates practice today. So I've been Hazel from Mountain Massage Company in Bowness in the Lake District. And enjoy your day. Thank you.